Oh, yeah. What's going on, everybody? Good morning to who have we got so far? We've got Lordstar, we've got Dank Dan, we've got Aussie Autos Official, we've got Cooper Guy, and we've got Dylan. Sup, y'all? Live stories. Got a couple of watches over on, what is it? YouTube. What's going on over there? Frozen out a little bit. Phillips Lockie, West Coast. Cool. I think it's actually caught up to where we're at. Yeah. All right. So I figured we would go over again the pre-activation of top dressings. A tutorial on this, but yeah, some people are asking how to do it, so I figured we could go over that quickly. Oh, hell yeah. I've been way into this stuff lately. Aussie Stoners, they say. Stoneman 420 on the YouTube. Sup, y'all? Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, so we are live on YouTube. We are live on Twitch. We are live on Instagram. We are not live on OnlyFans because you have to pay for that. Sunday's going great. How about yours, Aussie Stoners? Hopefully good. Hopefully chill. Hopefully, you know, maybe doing a spot of gardening. Maybe hanging out with a friend. Maybe hanging out by yourself. Maybe watching some Netflix. Oh, what's up next? Nothing's up next. Oh, that's not good enough at all. All right. We'll fix that. Whack some different stuff on. That'll do. Bit of Zap. Krusty Crops. What's going on, sir? All right. All right. What do we have? A space echo on or something like that? Echo. Echo. Yeah, that's a bit dry. It's a bit better, isn't it? It's a bit less lost in space. So pre-activating top dressings. What do I kind of mean by that? You know, it's kind of something that I've just been doing over the last probably year and a little. Wherein, you know, you can mix dry amendments with composts, let that break down and use that way later. Alien Tech. Hey, congrats to Alien Tech for getting their stuff into one of the cookie stores over at Thailand. That's a mad, yeah. Sick work, bro. Yeah. Yeah, so right. So you, on one extreme, you've got top dressing with just fresh dry amendments, right? And on the other extreme, you've got mixing them into a soil, compost, whatever well before you intend to use it. So this kind of thing that I'm doing lies somewhere in between. And usually I'm aiming to use this stuff between 7 to 10 days after mixing it. So right in that window where it's kind of at peak breakdown. The Sheer Organic and Alana. What's going on? We've got some new people today. That's pretty cool. Cool to see some new people. So yeah, you get a different kind of nutrient availability in that window than you would, you know, using it fresh or using it when it's well broken down further down the chain. And so just experimenting with that, I got results that were on par kind of with a tea in terms of the availability seemed to be a lot higher, but with the convenience of a top dressing. So that was something that was, yeah, an easy way of kind of going about that without having to muck around with, as effective as airlift brewers and all that sort of stuff can be, they're kind of messy and require sterilization and things to make them work properly. Top dressing is more easy to do, but comes with it the complication of it taking a week at least for stuff to kind of get going, and then, you know, really a peak availability is around 14 days kind of after you have applied it, depending on the temperature, particularly of the soil. So yeah, this is kind of something that I kind of found where you can kind of culture it aside and then apply it, and there seems to be some rapid availability going on with that. G'day Ozio and Grow Green Daddy, of course. And Oi. Oi, what's going on? Yeah. 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 We have come forth to bring you the funk on this Sunday. You just need a little bit of funk to get things going, much like microbes in your soil. The Joker of Oz. So how you do this is you basically take your carbon / microbe source. So you can use soil. I like to use compost. You can use castings. That's another good one. Or you can use different blends, customized on what you want to do. Bit of compost, bit of castings. What matters is that there's carbon in there, and also what matters is that there's microbes in there. So that'll give you something to culture out. You can do this just with regular dry amendments, so you can make your own custom blends from like alfalfa and barley, what have you. I like to do it with the herb superbs and also the Stone Age when I want a bit more calcium, because we also pre-inoculate the herb superbs with effective microbes. So we had recent analysis done, and there's between 1 and 3 million CFU of tested microbes in there. So yeah, that gives it a good head start in the whole breakdown process. They are effective microbes, so they work better at sort of anaerobic stuff. But this is not necessarily a super well aerated way of doing it anyway, so it seems to work quite well in that. Just stop and do some shout outs. We've got Rourke and the Joker of Oz. And what have we got there on the YouTube? We've got, hey, someone getting some nice results there on the YouTube. That's Stone Man again. That's wicked. Yeah, once you get the power boosters into it, like particularly the Grow Biotics and the Aquamarine and Ocean Potion combo, that, you know. We use SWEP at the moment, Alien Tech. We're finding that they're good, and then they kind of farm out to other labs that do, for instance, with the compost, that was analyzed by gas chromatography, which they don't do, but they are in contact with other labs that do that as well. So you can sort of get a lot of stuff done through them. Tassie. They don't sponsor us or anything. It's like, you know, just that's who we use. I don't envy Grow Green Daddy's position today. That sounds like it would be quite crazy. Tassie Trichomes, what's going on? Outdoor Canada Ninja. So yeah, you take your portion of compost, you blend that with a portion of your dry amendments, and then you set that aside somewhere at basically an incubation temperature. So something around 20 to 25 degrees works great. Keep it sealed but not sealed tight. So you want it to be able to breathe. I like to put a paper towel or a tea towel over it with an elastic band. And that allows it to breathe, but still keeps it covered so other stuff can't get in there. And Alien Tech, yeah, they're good. They have the ability to do a bit more of a complete analysis, which is helpful, and the microbe testing is interesting, if nothing else. You obviously can't test for particular microbes without gene sequencing, which is very expensive. But yeah, you can get a bit of an idea. For instance, when we test the Grow Dirt, it's shows a high prevalence of cellulitic fungi, so it's quite cool. We've got another couple of people over there on the YouTube too, so we've got awareness there. Some people, yeah, shouting us out for getting some cool results. So that's, yeah, Thanks heaps, guys. Appreciate that. We got In the Loop this morning. What's going on, bro? The Greener Stream and David. So in terms of ratios, what I tend to find works well is I'll sort of use around 1 litre or 1 part of the compost material, and then I'll add about a third of that material to it. So a third of a litre, so 300 and something mil, a bit over a cup, to that, and mix it through and wet that down to the point. It should be kind of the consistency and feel of biscuit dough when it's ready to be baked. So it shouldn't feel sopping wet, but it shouldn't be dry either. And that just helps everything get going. When I do this with the high power compost and the Herb Superb and sometimes a bit of Stone Age, 7 days usually it's pretty much done. I'll take it to 10 sometimes, and it'll just get extra furry and fuzzy. But when I do it with the Worm Cartel castings, for instance, different castings from different people grow different fur or different microbe fuzz. So, and I've kind of documented that different times on our Discord, like in process, where you'll see different, the high power will produce this sort of fluff, and the kind of castings will produce different ones, and even different castings will produce different sort of things. So it's all pretty interesting. What's in the amendments, and also what's in the compost material. They kind of battle each other a little bit, but they kind of always grow something different, it seems, based on what the material is. 420 Galaxy, nice to see you, bro. And Heb Australia, nice to see you too. Oh no, hit the wrong button sometimes. Yeah, so you might try that technique for yourself, see how you go with it. A lot of people have started doing that because rather than applying it to the soil and they seem to sometimes go through a bit of a dip where they kind of slow down a little bit before that stuff starts breaking down properly, and then they take back off again. It kind of circumnavigates that. So yeah, and it's also a good way to kind of stage your top dressings. So start it a week before you intend to use it, and then whack it on. And it seems to be available faster doing it that way once you do apply it than it otherwise would be. I've certainly found that. So in warmer weather, when the conditions favour the breakdown of top dressings, it's a technique that I've sort of come to utilise quite extensively. In the colder weather, as long as your root temperatures are sort of up around that 20-degree mark, you won't have any issues. And they really should be anyway for healthy plants. A lot of people this time of year are thinking they're getting nutrient lockout, and really their plants are just freezing cold. So, cold soil biology is slow soil biology, and so your canopy PPFD and all that sort of stuff mightn't have changed, but your temperatures have drastically, and so that's slowed the whole system down to a point where it's not keeping up anymore. So I'm finding that, obviously trying to do something about the temperature is first and foremost, but utilizing teas and utilizing applications of stuff like the Ocean Potion and Aquamarine seems to be a good way of kind of getting around some of those shortfalls. So applying readily available stuff. Things don't have to work as hard to access it. We've got Otto, Maximum Otto. Yeah, Otto's cold. We're all cold, man. It's freezing cold up here. I was dressed like live in the polar Arctic or something like that. Dr. Jimbo Jones, and we've got Josh D Creative. Hell yeah. Grow Green Daddy there. When I water in the pre-activation, you could use dark matter if you wanted to. I think that's probably pretty suitable for that. I've used antimatter before. A lot of the time, I don't use either of the matters or the mojo. I'll just use the microbes that are in the compost and what's present in the herb superb, and just kind of culture those out with it. I might water it in when I go to apply it. Normally, it works out timing-wise that when I'm applying a top dressing, it's around the same time that I would apply dark matter anyway. So it'll normally get paired up with that. But I don't necessarily add that to the pre-activation. You could, though, if you wanted to. Sweet Organics. Got a bunch of people on today. How y'all going? Hope you're going good. Feeling good? Feeling right? Yeah, so I normally do my pre-activation in just like a sort of food safe tub. If you're doing small amounts, you could do it in a mason jar if you wanted to, and that's got the advantage of looking ultra hippie. You could, yeah. So, but try and pick something food safe. Really large amounts you could do on a tarp, so you could actually mix up like a large batch of it and kind of do it that way. What I would say is, rather than heaping it all up in a big pile, spread it out thin so it sort of doesn't heat up heaps, because it'll probably go more thermophilic. So just, yeah, spread that right out, no more than a couple of inches thick. I think the most I've made of it is about 200 litres. So, and yeah, it didn't really get too hot at that thickness. Sometimes stuff just be too thick, you know what I'm saying? It's rare. Oh, right, when I'm applying the pre-activation to the pot. So yeah, I mean, if it works out that you're applying antimatter that week, that's going to help break that stuff down. It normally works out that that's when I'm applying dark matter. So that's my personal pairing. I don't think you can necessarily go wrong with either. What tends to matter more with those is that they make it into rotation somewhat throughout the crop cycle. So yeah, that's kind of how I look at those. Hey, Jimbo's in the garden. That's his happy spot. So Otto. Yeah, no, that's basically the way I do it too. And I tend to apply the dark matter less is more anyway. It's quite powerful, quite concentrated. The inoculants that are in it are such that they don't necessarily need to be applied every week or every day, whereas Mojo is hard to go overboard with. And depending on your conditions and your soil and your dosage, it's kind of, you can hit the aquamarine and ocean potion pretty hard too. J-Pine grows clover. J-Pain, not T-Pain. Mojo is, yeah, there's never necessarily a bad time to Mojo. When people ask me when should I Mojo, I normally just respond yes. Tony Sompos. Yeah, but yeah, that product's safe enough for use on young plants, and strong enough for use on mature ones. So I do vary the dosage a little bit on it, but even then, like the pack recommends 2 scoops. I've gone 4. I've gone 6. I may have even gone more than that. It doesn't never hurts anything. 61 Falcon. Surfcraft. He's another user of the light soil in sub-irrigated stuff. I think was his latest run. Look mad. Hey, we got King's Evil too. What's going on, bro? Bunch of people. Oh yeah. Do you have to use a water filter? It depends on. Look, if you're on town water, the answer generally boils back to yeah. It generally comes back to that. But the longer answer to that is it depends. So it depends on your town's water. Some people, for instance, may have just chlorine in the amount of calcium low. They cause them any problems. They can kind of put that in a what works is, like an uncovered bin or a barrel, and aerate that for 12 to 24 hours, and that'll sort of gas off a lot of the chlorine. If you're in an area where you've also got chloramine, that won't happen because you'll off-gas the chlorine, but you won't the chloramine. The chloramine's stable in the water, so it doesn't matter. You won't get rid of it that way. And if the EC is high enough, then you're going to drift the pH of your soil up and start to lock things out. It's basically the equivalent of applying lime with every watering. So you can quickly drive your soil in the wrong direction and lock out some of your trace minerals. So really the only way to get that clean is to RO filter it, or what works out sometimes more economical for a lot of people is just putting in a small rain capture somewhere around, if you live in an area where it is clean enough to capture the rainwater. Even if you can just capture it and it's clean and then run that through a Brita filter, for most people that works quite well. Some people, depending on the area they're in and what they've got available to them, have to go to the level of using RO water, which then you're taking all the dissolved TDS out of it and cleaning up the especially with a charcoal filter and all that sort of stuff, clearing up the chlorines and other stuff that kills the bacteria off and fungi off, or at least has a detrimental effect to those populations in the soil. So it depends how much you're using. A lot of people aren't really using that much water for their grows. Soil grows tend to use a lot less than what, say, hydroponics would. So you may just be able to capture that. Some people buy it, like they'll just buy spring water, or they'll buy kind of that sort of water. If you're going to do that, try to not get the stuff that's like the alkaline water, because again, you've got additives in there. Some of it's ionized, and that's why it's alkaline, and other ones are have bicarbonates in there. So you've kind of got the original problem that you started with. So yeah, that's the long answer on that. The short answer is sort of kind of rainwater wherever possible. That's that's my preferred. That's kind of what I consider the standard. And then RO is second to that. You can actually get your water pretty well tested by most pool places and kind of tell you what's going on with your water if you're looking for somewhere to do it. Jimbo Jones there, double hearts for rainwater and grow dirt. Yes, they're made to work together. Some interesting stuff going there. Yeah, and another vote there for sub-irrigated planters. Good fun. A good way to do it. Chosen not to go with those on the testers this winter because I really want to be able to sort of irrigate as frequently as possible with nutrient-rich mixtures. Kind of making soups and stews for the plants. All right, let's see what else I can find. That'll work there. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's unusual to me too, Dankden, but at the same time, I mean, if you live in an apartment complex somewhere in a big city, you maybe don't have access to rainwater. Be one of those things. But you still want to grow your own herbs and medicine and other plants. So, got to do something right. Sweet baby May. Yeah. Alien Tech, do red wigglers last? They sort of kind of do. It depends, So if you've got a no-till arrangement where you're not really disturbing it and you're feeding it on the regular, then yeah, they'll probably stick around. Earthworms kind of do a bit of a different thing, so yeah, that would be kind of the answer on that. Yeah, I typically, it depends on what you put in there in the first place. Outdoors, you're going to get a greater diversity of stuff than you would, for instance, inside. Oh, now I need a filter. Let's try and find one, hey? Oh, that's cool. There we go. Sick. Cool. We sorted that out. We got there from awareness there. Use the filter. Yeah, those ones work okay for a little while. But because they're only a smallish kind of a filter, they get used up kind of quick. So I typically recommend people use the 3-stage ones, like the 3 cartridge ones, just because you can get much bigger filter packs for those. But doing anything is better than doing nothing in terms of that sort of stuff, particularly with the chlorines, but arguably the TDS of the water is a bigger problem for a lot of people. It can be sodium, it can be magnesium, it can be calcium, and all of that's going to affect the chemistry of the soil, which can be quite problematic. So. Yes, indeed. Yes, we've got the Mojo Eyes filter happening on Instagram because I still have no virtual background. It doesn't have the technology yet. I like night crawlers. Chuck night crawlers in there. But the red ones, they work fine too. I don't necessarily go around collecting earthworms and putting them in there, but they obviously make their way into outdoor garden beds. So yeah, we get some enormous earthworms up here, like absolutely huge. I don't know if I necessarily want those in my pots. Yeah, chuck that stuff in. King's Evil, that's just carbon, man. So that's kind of the same equivalent of, of inoculating like wheat bran and other carbon sources, and then using those to apply the effective microorganisms to other stuff. So kind of bokashi. So no, that won't hurt anything at all. That's kind of a pre-activation in a way. Definitely a good way to compost and get rid of the waste that you otherwise shouldn't or wouldn't compost and get rid of. Matthew. Some people with some interesting stuff going on in the comments. A few people have picked up some bags of high power and giving those a run through. Someone said that it looked like worm castings when they got it. They thought I screwed up the order. It's just like, no, that's how it looks. It's real nice. Real nice. I'm trying to think of what I want to plant into the redone soil that I did. I want yeah, it's cold, and so obviously it's a bit of a bad time to be putting stuff in. Nonetheless, I want to plant some stuff. I'm surprised. I've got some coriander, that stuff that actually I did on the live a while ago. It's in a pot outside, and I got up the other morning and it was totally frozen with frost. But for whatever reason, it's still alive. I didn't think that would. Yeah, I thought it would have killed it. We got the space cadet. What's going on, dude? Some more high power for Dr. Jimbo. Nice one. Oh yeah, we'll put the Aqua Boogie on. This is the song that basically, well, this whole album like the song that inspired the Aquamarine. Aqua Boogie, baby. Yep, all of that stuff, man. It's all good. All of that sort of stuff are valuable inputs. I use a bit of it when we're kind of batching around here. I use a bit of biodynamic stuff as well. But yeah, make use of that stuff, dude. You can ferment a lot of the things that you cut off. And the more of that stuff you can recycle back in, the less carbon and nutrients you're losing from your soil with each round. Yeah, but bokashi and those sort of microbes are really great at facilitating the breakdown of all that kind of stuff. So, the antimatter works in kind of a bit of a different way to that, but along similar principles. Whereas the bokashi and effective microbes, a lot of those ferments, they kind of work along that similar lines in terms of helping facilitate the breakdown of the stuff that you're applying to your soil. Or in the case of your FPJ, you're also getting a bunch of plant hormones and stuff as well. But they, typically have microbes present, and typically they're anaerobic microbes. So good at producing acids that break down other things. Demo. Yeah, close the loop as much as possible, and then you don't have to buy as much. That's the way to grow. We offer some great solutions, but the more of your own stuff that you can recycle, the less stuff you've got to add back. It's pretty simple. Yes, in the particularly the herb superbs, there is a blend of effective microorganisms. So yeah, and we've actually got a number on that now. The last round of analysis that we had done gave us a more complete breakdown of everything, but also the microbe content. So that was cool to see. Stone Age actually has some in there, which is interesting as well, albeit a bit less. But there's some biodynamic preps in that as well, so I have a feeling that the microbes are sneaking in from there. And yeah, perhaps living in a couple of things that are in contact with the earth. Sometimes that's a good way to actually harvest your own microbes. Is basically just cooking your soil down in contact with the ground, somewhere where the ground is productive, and you'll oftentimes pick up a lot of groovy stuff up out of the soil, just the native soil. $51.7 Legend Seed Co. What's going on? Yes, that was the official lab term. I think they put on there was. Hang on, wait a minute. Where's the? What's the effect? Is it low? I don't want to blast everyone with it. Yeah, it's low. Yeah, so they said it loads. There we go. Yeah. Still don't know how to use the soundboard, so I'm stoked wherever I get it. Yeah, I think one of them. I think the balance was, I think, the highest. It was 11 million, I think. CFU. Hey, we got it, Jimbo. I'll get the hang of this stuff eventually, man. Then you watch. I'll be a weapon. We got My Hero. What's going on, My Hero? Yes. Yes, 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 indeed. Underwater boogie, baby. Yeah, so yeah, it's cool to sort of get a bearing on some of these things. Do I think that biodynamic preps work? So I'm, dude, you know, I got dreads and stuff, man. Like I'm partial to a bit of woo. So they definitely play on my woo mystical side. But I've got some thoughts on what I think is really happening a lot of the time with those things. So, there's all the Steiner style way of looking at it where you kind of channeling the earthly heavens down through cow horns into things and applying that energy to your soil, and it's all very mystical and very woo, and it sounds very cool and like you're some sort of wizard. But really what I think is happening is that, okay, for instance, with horn silica or horn basalt, you're burying that in the ground in a productive area for a length of time. And you're putting in that horn, I argue you can use any container that's, so you could use something different, but the horn is what they use. You're putting it there, and then what I think is happening is that microbes then move into that, right? But they're the sort of microbes in converse to the KNF style stuff where you're harvesting stuff, more from near the surface. This is stuff that is more living on rocks and right down deep in the soil. And perhaps these are the things that make that sort of stuff more available. So I have a feeling that what a lot of these preparations end up being are inoculants of sorts, that the way they're produced and where they're produced then allows you the opportunity to introduce some of those microbes to your soil. So in that context, I think they could be doing some stuff without gene sequencing and a whole lot of lab testing and all that sort of stuff. It's really hard to kind of determine. But I put them in there because I like them, and I think there's some validity to it. And I've A/B'd things and sort of seen some difference. So there's that anecdotal kind of thing as well. A lot of the biodynamic principles, though, closing the loop and all that sort of stuff are all sound, good, sustainable techniques regardless. But there's, a lot of mystical kind of stuff to it as well. Sounds like it comes out of Lord of the Rings. Greened out teams. Going on, dude. Nice one, Gary. Did I touch on worms? I haven't touched any worms today. But I did speak about them before. I said I like to use night crawlers, but red wigglers are fine. I don't particularly go out and pick up earthworms and put them in there. But if you've got outdoor garden beds, they're going to get in there. But yeah, they're all different and do different stuff. Yeah, it's hard to compare because normally when you're applying any of those preparations, it's part of a holistic program that also includes a whole bunch of other stuff that kind of, are all good things to do. So generally biodynamic stuff is good stuff because of that whole program, not any one input. And the value of any one of these inputs is arguable anyway. But in terms of if there's any science behind them, I think that's probably a lot of what it is. The KNF stuff seems to be a lot more immediately gratifying in terms of you can see some real immediate benefit from that, which makes sense because you're harvesting stuff from near the surface that's pretty fast moving and all works pretty rapidly. So different stuff. A blend of all of them. I like to call it being organically agnostic. If it's good, it's good. We'll put it and include it in our funk. There's no ingredient that cannot be included in the funk if it fits the funk. Only unfunky ingredients are not allowed in. Yeah, I just got you back. 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 Yeah, I just
Yeah, you got your back.
Pretty much, ma'am. They're just going to sort of compete until you get a balance of different organisms. So yeah, same as your microbes, anything like that, especially outdoors, but indoors too. If you have a system going long enough, you'll get things kind of move through and become dominant. Game free. Yeah, well, I tend to do that more on the OnlyFans King's Evil. But you've got to subscribe for that. It's up to all our OnlyFans subscribers too, by the way. Appreciate you all. Paying my bills. Yeah, so some thoughts on all that sort of stuff like that. In terms of if it was a list of stuff that I think is an essential thing you've just got to have in there, they'd be probably lower down on that list if I'm really being honest about it. But, you know, Grow Dirt philosophically is about trying to combine all of the good and coolest stuff that I can find into one ultra thing. So it's good. It gets into the funk. It's in there. You can certainly make a soil without it. I know that because I've done it. I want Yodel the turtle. That's what I want. I'm finding it. Who doesn't love a Chili Peppers version of a Dr. Seuss song? Yeah, the best way to see what's going to win out is to just kind of introduce those things into the environment and, yeah, let them have at it. It doesn't mean that you can't keep reintroducing certain things too, but it also means that over time you'll get kind of a super organism that'll happen. And then, yeah, it kind of is doing more of its own thing. 420 fixation. More than a few 420s on here today. I hope you're waked and baked and ready to shake. Yes. So, thoughts on top dressings, a few thoughts on other things, thoughts on microbes. Does anyone else have any other questions or thoughts about stuff? Some people found last week's chat about the guides quite illuminating. So that was good. It was good to go over that sort of stuff. We've been including those with orders too, by the way, when we've been shipping things out through the week. That was actually one thing I wanted to say before too, if awareness is still watching, is in terms of aerating the water, I've found that a really terrific way to get that done very quickly is just to put it in the airlift without actually brewing a tea. So you can really heavily oxygenate the water before application very rapidly and in a pretty solid way by doing that. So if you already have an airlift and you've got it set up, it can be a great way to use it. Do your thing, King's Evil. We appreciate you, bro. Thanks for coming on and, yeah, vibing out with us. I'll send you a PM later. Some stuff to send you. King Yertle the Turtle, king of the pond, king of all he sees.
Wow! Look at that turtle go! Bro!
I'd never actually thought of that greened out team, but yeah, that's actually a pretty cool idea, man. So how does it work in terms of filtering a fish tank? I think this is the one there that I wanted. Yeah, this one here. No, I haven't, Dr. Jimbo. You'd have to explain that one, bro. Not sure I want to know. Maybe I do. Whack that in the comments. Oh, it's probably another Seuss. All right, cool. Do I rate Shilajit? Yes, I do. Not something I've had a huge amount of experience with, but I have seen some people use it, and enough anecdotal. Ah, there you go. That's a heaps cool idea. Yeah, it's kind of as it gets the stuff pulled through it, it'd be pulling the biofilm through that. So yeah, that would actually work pretty good. That's pretty interesting. I was just surprised by how well it oxygenated the water even after you would take a glass out of it. So you'd sort of I would put it under the neck of the airlift and then pull the glass away, and you would sit there and like look at it, and it would still have bubbles in it for minutes afterwards, which never ever ever happens if you're doing that with just an aquarium air stone. I've done the exact same recipes a couple of times now, and they smell different even. One of them, the airlift one, smells like something you would use on your soil, and the other one kind of, I don't know, not so good, I don't think. I think they're good for about 5 to 10 litres doing it that way. Anything over that seems to be a little bit out of their reach. Seem to have to go the airlift way. Yeah, that's essentially a gigantic sponge filter built, grow room style. It's well done, actually, man. That's pretty innovative. Well done. There's always some cool extra stuff on here that I learn when I tune in as well. So, tapping into the collective consciousness. Way more water movement, and I'm guessing way more oxygenation as a byproduct as well. So that's all pretty cool. All right, well, I appreciate everyone calling in, staying on, tuning in, dropping out with us. And I think I'll ride out on this one. See you on another one. Thank you, girl. Any exotic plecos? DM me, bro. DM me. Get all up in my DMs. See you later, y'all.